And as the numbers are being called for your coffees, we will start our program here. But this is really what it's about, to have some engaging and loud conversations about different topics, to see each other on a regular basis. And this is what we have. And the kind of sideshow that we have is some real cool speakers for a few minutes as well. And today is the last of the espressos for the school year, so we're going to do some programming in the summer too. But I wanted to get everybody in the room here to, as a grand finale, to really give an update on what Purdue Innovates is providing to our faculty, our students, our alumni, everybody connected to Purdue. And because they have a big event coming up next week, the Startup Expo, that involves all of these three groups, I wanted to give them opportunity to tell us what's going on. And eventually we're going to finish out with the young gentleman here, Dr. Holtz, who was in the first cohort of the Graduate Commercialization Fellowship Program, which was a really neat and continues to be one. Actually, we have some of the latest cohort, the new cohort in the room here as well, to really take a professor's research innovation or their own to the next level, to spend a year as a postdoc to move things ahead, to get the technology readiness levels up so that you have technology that can be licensed, that can be bought out, that can be, again, be used to make impact on our communities, on our industries, which is the ultimate goal of why we're existing in the first place as a public university and as an entrepreneurial ecosystem. So, with that, I have three very important representatives of Purdue Innovates, our kind of one-shop storefront for all new ideas, from the very early part to starting companies to getting investments for those companies. I have them all here. And where is... so there he is. There we go. Hiding behind the muffins is Justin Renfro. There's a big muffin, so that's why it's not so difficult. Justin is the director of Purdue Innovates Incubator, and with it he is obviously putting on a lot of programs that are getting things started, that are accelerating things as well, and we'll talk about these opportunities that are showcased next week as well. And we have Matt Dressler, who is helping out to get companies more funding, more investments, but he's also in charge of the Graduate Commercialization Fellowship Program, and so picking some ideas and some postdocs and professors that are very promising in regard to getting technologies out into the public. That's what Matt is in charge of. And as I said, Nick Holtz here is an example of the first year's cohort of that program, and will give us a little bit of feedback of how he experienced that as a student, or as a postgraduate student, and where this is taking us in the future. And then we have Dr. Abi Carvey, the director of the Office of Technology Commercialization. I think you all know him. He is turning your ideas into protected IP that can be licensed, that can be moved into commercialization, and with that he plays a very important role in our ecosystem here. So they're all here, and I don't know who wants to start talking about what you're doing next week, what you're doing with the fellowship, but I'll hand the floor over to Dr. Dressler. Thanks.
Good morning, everybody. Yay. It's great to be here with you. So as Christian said, and as he sort of relayed to us as we were preparing for this, he wants this to be storytelling, right? So what stories can we tell? But we work with students, undergraduates and graduates. We work with faculty. We work with staff. We work with alumni. And that's a lot of stories. And so he sort of highlighted we've got these different we got these different people in the audience to sort of chat through some different opportunities that Purdue Innovates offers. But we're going to use the commercialization fellowship as sort of a spine for that story. I guess the other thing too is I'm sort of a spine for the story as well. So I've got a PhD in tissue engineering. I taught for several years. I was in industry for 15 years. I have a senior here at Purdue who's going to graduate from industrial engineering in a month or so. And so all of those kind of stakeholders coexist within me. And so I get the privilege of leading the commercialization fellowship. I think before we kick off, I'm going to pass it to Abhi, because a lot of what we do here with Purdue Innovates is try to help academic research get commercialized. A lot of it starts with a disclosure, so I'd be remiss without a reminder about disclosures.
Thanks, Matt. I think it's good to see everybody here. Speaking of stories, right? Our Office of Technology Commercialization, is a one-stop shop for anybody who has a new idea to come and talk to us. We are going to protect that idea. We work primarily with Purdue faculty, but we work with students as well. So our office, as such, is connected to Purdue through its IP policy. We will work with any inventor at the university who has an exciting idea, and that each idea is a story, actually, that needs to be told. And all those ideas that we get every year, we get close to 400 disclosures a year. Out of those, we file on almost half of those ideas. We file patents or trademarks or some sort of intellectual property. And some of those ideas get commercialized in the form of a license, and they make a product. So each year, we make almost over 150 licenses signed a year. And each of those could be a story that we can tell down the road. I don't think we will have time to tell each story, but each is a journey, I would say. And it's an inspirational journey that we take, not just by the office, but with the inventors at the university, with the entrepreneurs that work with us to take that idea to market. And and I think as PRF, as an organization, we take that journey with those units. So I think our office is everything, any idea, any new invention starts with protecting that idea. So if you're a new business, if you're a faculty, or if you're a student who is looking to spin out as a company, the one question we always ask is, or if you have been on Shark Tank, the one question that sharks ask is this technology protected? Is there a patent? And that's what we do initially. We look at the idea. We have an internal team of patent attorneys in-house that protect or evaluate the idea, protect the idea. And then I am part of the licensing team or the business development team in the office, and our team actually helps commercialize those patents through licensing. And as I said, we've done it significant number of times a year. We have almost 150 issued licenses a year. And as we all know, Purdue is ranked consistently in the top 10 for the number of patents issued for the last 5 to 6 years. So we keep up with that good work and want to continue to proceed and be that top-ranked university, not just for patents, but also for commercialization. So if there is one thing I want to say, tell everybody is, if you have a new idea, come and talk to us. We can evaluate anything. Nothing is too early for us to evaluate. So come and talk to us. We definitely want to make sure we protect that idea rather than make it available to public by disclosing it. So with that, I'll head it back to Matt.
Thanks, Abhi. Before we bring the commercialization fellows up, I want to turn it to Justin to talk a little bit more about the expo. So a lot about stories. And so there is an expo next week. We may have tickets left. We may not. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Wow, that's loud and annoying, isn't it? Good morning, everybody. So we've talked about Expo. You hear us say Expo, 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 Expo. Expo is our Super Bowl, right? That is our one chance every year to really take, it started off as a day, then it was 2 days, now it's 3 days. We're hoping we get to the point where it's a full week, where we're able to not only showcase on campus, but have people come back, alumni, investors, some of our strategic partners. I know that's why there was a little bit of some headache and a little bit of confusion with the invitee list and being sold out a couple times. But the goal is really to get these technologies out to where they can be seen, right? I mean, that's the one incredible thing about Purdue University, and a lot of people don't even know this, but so Purdue is the institution responsible for putting the first and the last person on the moon, right? It's also the institution responsible for chicken nuggets. Did you know that? No. And do I say that to belittle anything? No. What I'm saying is, in our positions, in the last 3 years, I've seen everything from protein-fortified barbecue sauces, which was a really cool idea, all the way up to things that travel hypersonic and make great big booms, and I can't tell you anything about without getting in a lot of trouble for the federal government. So we see everything in between. So what we try to do for events like Expo is, quite honestly, the first day, next Wednesday, the 22nd, it's a day that I really try to set the bar heavy on, because there are lots of questions that you ask me that I can't answer for you. Things like company formation. Do I want an S Corp? Or do I want an LLC? Do I want to register in Delaware or Indiana or Illinois? I have lots of opinions. And I'm usually happy to give you my opinions, but in those cases, that constitutes legal advice. So what do? We have Audrey Wessel coming in to actually do a full hour on that, and she'll be around to network. Where do you want to incorporate? How do you want to incorporate? What strategies do you need to have when you're coming to the table? Another one is cap table math from Landon Young from Elevate Ventures. Can you guys hear me without this? I'm annoyingly loud. Is that okay? Thank you. We have Landon Young, three-time Purdue grad from Elevate Ventures, who is coming to go through and tell you how to keep your cap table clean. Yes, you're getting early investments. How do you keep that from screwing things up down the line? Things like that. How to pitch. We're really trying to focus heavily on that Wednesday on our National Academy of Inventors kickoff. So there will be a National Academy of Inventors at Purdue University. We'll focus on staging and really get it off the ground for our startups. Day two was a lot of fun for me personally. That is the culmination of our new venture challenge. So we'll have 10 student teams, those who survive the semifinals tonight, pitch for their chance of $55,000 in total prizes. And those are unrestricted awards from Purdue Innovates, PRF, to those companies. This isn't a $1,000, $500 pitch competition. The grand prize will be $20,000. That is significant. So I think that we're all starting to see when Professor Chung starts talking about, or President Chung starts talking about Purdue being startup view, that's not a phase. That's not going anywhere. If we continue to build out to be ready for that, well, our new venture challenge finals will have a reception from 5 to 8 p.m. Wednesday and Thursday will be at the Convergence Center, which is where we're located. Friday will be at the Spurgeon Club in Mackey Arena. Those will focus on Purdue IP startups, our commercialization fellows, some of our star technologies here on campus. So there's a little bit of everything for everyone. There are tickets available. If you have issues getting tickets, please reach out to me. I don't know that I can get you as many as you might want, but I may be able to make a few more available. Take home point is, Matt's touched on, Robbie's touched on, Purdue Innovates is the front door. If you have an idea for a problem that you want to solve with a product or a technology, and you know who your market is, come talk to us. Part of our job is to help students and faculty to get their technologies out of the lab. Sometimes we have to massage them out of the lab very gently, and sometimes we have to help pull, kicking, and screaming a little bit more to try to get folks to understand the value behind what they have, but that is always our goal. So, turn it back over to Matt.
Thanks, Justin.
I guess real quick plug, leading into Expo, Tuesday, we actually have an SBIR, STTR workshop that we're going to hold at Convergence on Tuesday, 10 a.m. So if you're interested, reach out to me. Or imagine, if you will, the QR code that I have for you so you can snap a picture and register. Come up to me and we can figure that out. I'll go ahead and ask the commercialization fellows to come up. So we've got Nick from our previous cohort, Pranshul, Sunanita. So this is a neat program, and as I mentioned, is sort of the spine of what we do at Purdue Innovates, right? So things coming out of the university, ideas and research, right? Patent it, disclose it, and then is there a market, an opportunity? All of that distills in the commercialization fellows, but it's not the only way that we can engage. So the commercialization fellow, we're in our second year. It is a collaboration with Purdue Innovates and the various colleges. It is a 12-month fellowship, and they get salary, fringe benefits, also opportunity, gap funding to improve the technology. We put them through programming to try to understand commercialization, networking, and a whole bunch of other stuff these guys will unpack. So I think just leading up, and I'll ask a couple questions, but I ask you all to come up with your own questions. Really, the point is for you all, not for us to talk at you. But there are a ton of stories. So we have Nick from our previous cohort and Pranshul and Sunanita from our current cohort. Maybe just real quick, if you want to introduce yourself, your technology.
I guess I'll go first. So I'm Nick Hulls. I'm a postdoc in industrial and molecular pharmaceutics in Eric Munson's lab. We created a technology it's a new analytical technique to analyze the stability of freeze-dried drug products, mostly. Can be also used for any powder or lyophilized product and frozen solutions as well. And we've created a company to help push that technology out and failed our first round of STTR applications, but we're going back at it this year and trying again.
I'm Pranshul. I'm a postdoc in mechanical engineering, and I do computer vision. So my research is about teaching computers how to see the real world, make sense out of images, videos, and so on. So for the commercialization aspect, I'm working on a co-annotator. So when teams create large-scale data sets, you can't just use a machine learning algorithm to learn from it directly. Teams of humans have to sit down and they have to tag different objects. They have to guide your algorithms to see things, and we help those teams create those large-scale data sets. During the commercialization fellowship, I'm learning how difficult it is when we are taking it from the lab to the real world, and how difficult it is to get on people's calendars. So if you have any tips there, we would appreciate that.
Hi, I'm Sunandita from Food Science. I'm a postdoc working on thermostable whey proteins. So your regular whey proteins and how to make it clear and more stable. So I have a background in dairy proteins, and during my doctoral studies, I have treated protein as a chemical compound, but through this commercialization, I'm seeing the how to get the concept of the chemical substance to real protein, bulk scale, things in big numbers and all that, and what are the things required to do that. Yeah.
So they're ambitious. They jumped ahead a little bit. Just talking about the technology, but now I want to ask, right? And this is kind of where everybody's at. You have things that are coming out of the labs, academic research. Why is it so hard to commercialize? How is it different? How is commercialization different from academic research?
Yeah. Getting somebody to buy a technology that you're creating is a lot different from creating the technology. I think that's pretty obvious to everybody. This feels like it's cutting in and out to me. It's just, okay. You have to cater technology to what is good enough to get out to the market versus the scientist in me wanting to perfect the technology until it's as good as I feel that it needs to be for somebody to really use it and get the full benefits of it, when really it just has to be good enough to work.
I'll say the same thing in slightly different words. I think part of why research is easy because the problems come through you. You are your customer, your scientific community is like a stakeholder, but you are driving something that you're curious about. Commercialization is a bit different because it's not about your problems, it's about problems what other folks have. And just figuring that out is just a discovery process in itself. And I think over the process, I'm learning that some of the hypotheses I'm making, some of the people I think would be interesting to talk to have already solved it. So we go back to the drawing board, look at things again, try to talk to more people. So like the problem identification piece of it, it makes it a bit more complicated than research, I believe.
So I'll ask one more question, then I'll open it up. So if you have a question, get it ready. So what has been the hardest thing or the most different thing as you've transitioned from a research perspective to a commercialization perspective?
I think the narrative of storytelling, we have been trained to um, present a research as it is. Now taking that to a commercial aspect, we have to keep in mind how do we present our technology and that's what we have been learning in the first half of it. Your technology is very cool, that's why we are here, but if we are not able to present it to the audience or the stakeholders that have the position to take it forward in the commercialization aspect, I think that can be a roadblock. So that storytelling aspect has been challenging, but also very interesting, learning a different language. And I think we all uh, like to learn different things. So this, yeah.
Question? Yep.
For me, yeah, maybe I can go without the mic. For me, it was about 6 months. So in what that would have been, summer of 2024, kind of late into the summer, we designed our first prototype after having the idea for a new type of probe for solid-state NMR to look at materials still in the vial. To, I believe, applications for the first round were sometime September-ish of that year, and got the fellowship in January, had it for a whole year, and a couple months past that now.
At what point would you say someone's far enough into their building journey to be ready for something like this?
Did you hear the question? Yep.
I think you're ready. You have already done customer discovery. I don't even know when you're ready. You just have to do it. And as a domestic student or being from the US is a bit easier for you because the stakes are a bit lower. Being international, I have to think about visas all the time. So that adds a layer of complexity, but I don't think there is a point in time when you know you're going to be ready for anything.
You may never know exactly when the right time is, but the fact that you're asking the question of how do I know that I'm ready means that you're ready to talk to somebody about it. So that's a good place to start.
I'll just add as a plug to Purdue Innovates. There's lots of on-ramps and off-ramps. So whether you've graduated and you're ready for commercialization fellowship, there's lots of different ways that we can engage. Look, you had a question, sorry. Any questions? Yep.
So curious, are research experiments different than commercialization experiments, or do your research experiments transfer to commercialization, or do you have to do something else?
It's similar, but also different. So what we have been doing is customer discovery. That is talking to a lot of people from the industry, understanding what kind of experiments or proof they would like to see for us. And a lot of times it doesn't have to be very complex analytical results that we love doing, but it's sometimes just showing that the experiments results you already have from your lab, is it scalable or not? Is it applicable to the instruments the equipments they are using? So things like more practical and specific to the particular industry you're talking to. So yeah.
For me, it's very similar. It's a slightly different goal. Research in our lab is with cheap materials that we can get a hold of because we have a certain amount of money to play with that. But companies that approach us have a much larger budget, and I would say the experiments that we're doing are very similar, but with a different focus and more applicable to real world. They have real drug products that need help with formulation and process development, and that's what we can do with our technology.
We can be in here until they kick us out, so that is fine. I just want to take the. Go.
You mentioned that the scientist in you have the urge to just like overbuild and take everything to perfection, right? But you also acknowledge that there's only a certain level that you need to achieve for something to hit the market. So personally, I'm just curious, how do you distinguish the line between the two?
Ask the people that are going to be buying it. Figure out what they need and how to make the simplest thing for them that will work. I think that's my most basic answer.
So that means you're not releasing technology that's not really ready. It's just maybe a more simple form of it, because it almost sounds like you're cutting corners. You're getting stuff out that could not work or could cause problems. How would you?
Not cutting corners, but making it good enough to use. Yeah, making a version of the technology that definitely does work, and you're not cutting corners to do that. But it may not be as perfect as it could be with a few more years of development, and you can always release a later version of it that has more functions, more capabilities, more whatever it is to make it a better product, but an initial product that is good enough. Yeah. I'm not suggesting to cut corners. I'm sorry.
I think there is also this idea of minimal viable product. So like Nick said, just making it a bit more into like formal words, that you need like these minimum set of features that someone would use and it's useful, that looks like a product. And even if I look at one of like Google, for example, it's been there for 20 years, it keeps on evolving. So there is no final stage of a technology. Maybe it's when it dies out, but having it, I think building up on your set, broader versus narrower, it's good to have broad technologies, but we have smaller teams. So one practical approach is like be narrow, try to solve it for someone real good, and then expand. If you can give me 5 people, I'll go for a broad problem. So if you have money for it, I'll be happy to take it.
Talking about money, so first cohort, you're the last man standing there. The others have left, moved on. What is the future? What does the future for the fellows hold? What are you going to do? What's the impact on the professor's work if you are moving on, or can you stay? How do you see your future?
Me personally, well, I'll talk about my other fellows first. They all moved on and got real jobs. Some of them are still working on the technology that they worked with in their fellowship and are involved with the development of companies. Me personally, I've chosen to stay here as a postdoc and try to develop the technology a little further to get more relevant data to the companies that we're trying to fit the technology for, and see where it goes from there. Like I said, we did apply for an STTTR last fall, and we're unsuccessful in that, but got some really good feedback. So we're gonna reapply and try some other grants and see how it goes. I have a real job, yeah, but.
Are you gonna give me the mic?
Last one. Of course, you have a voice of an angel.
Wow.
Okay. My question is around customer discovery and how you think about that. And Matt, maybe my question's for you. I don't know. Or Abhi. I'm giving you a heads up here. I think as I listen to you talk about customer discovery and communicating to the end user, I'm thinking about this in three buckets. One is, how do we know we're solving the right problem? Number two is, as we're developing the product, are we engaging the customer so that it meets their needs? And then number three, and you all touched on this, at the end, how do we sell it? So we need to be able to speak the language, right? So my question is on customer discovery, and I'm not sure if it's in the fellowship program, in the PhD, how do we know do we solicit customer input to land on what the problem is we're going to solve? Because if we don't do that, we may be solving a problem that's less relevant, and you do a great job solving it, but then nobody cares, right? So, and the communication falls apart at the end. So I didn't word that very well, but tell me about the customer discovery and from beginning to end, how we think about that.
I don't know if you could talk about the structure of the fellowship, right? So we have a tech refinement fund that we do, and so talk about how you put the proposal together and what you did on the other side.
Yeah, so I think that the commercialization fellowship was actually a great avenue to do exactly that. They taught us how to do that through programs like Firestarter and Market Readiness that you guys are in the middle of right now, and how to best approach people in industry. So PRF has a lot of great contacts that they helped us find some people, but we also had to go out on our own, try to cold message people on LinkedIn. I had a lot of success talking to people at conferences that lined up with different freeze drying symposiums and whatnot. But the question that you asked about how do we know that we're designing the right thing, I think the structure of the fellowship, the Tech Refinement Fund help us do that. We were able to, we first went out to companies, talking to people to ask what the problems that they had that were relevant to the technologies that we were already designing, and how can we reevaluate the technologies, redefine the development of them so that it answers their questions that they have rather than just our individual laboratory questions, and then go do that. So the funds that we got helped us to develop our technologies further, which I think is the next step for you guys. And then a big focus was also on the 13th month, or what comes next. So that's where I'm at now. I'm month 16 or so now, but yeah.
But you were able to, we talked a little bit beforehand, you were able to get samples from outside folks?
Yeah. Yeah, so we, through some of that customer discovery, we had a few pharmaceutical companies that were interested in working with us to analyze their own freeze-dried products that are under development, and a few that are marketed currently. So they wanted to just see what the capabilities of our technology are, and we're fortunate enough we're in the middle of those tests right now. It's going pretty well.
Excellent. Oh, right. The visiting professor.
I wanted to hear how you've been able to quantify the value that you've been able to provide for the product or service or technology, as you say, that you've put forward. What are some of the tools that you've used to quantify that value?
Quantify the value.
I think there is a distinction between technology and the product. Right now, at least the two of us are on the technology state. You surely have technology. I'm not sure about the product. You know better. But I think we have to think about de-risking on a lot of different dimensions. From the technology front, we have provisional patents right now. If we go to like full patents, that's one way of saying that we have achieved something. On the product side, I think customers start becoming more and more important. Having the first few pilots is my goal. I don't have any pilot customers yet. And pilots also don't mean long-term success. But having those discussions early on, engaging with people, how many people did we talk to, what kind of, for our key assumptions, how many people resonated with that in their own words. I think those are some of the quantifications that are early hints. On the flip side, I think funding is another big quantification. Have we figured out the next step of funding? Have we actually made a business plan that can take our technologies from the lab to the market? So there are different dimensions. I don't know which one is good. Maybe it's a weighted average of something, but there are ways to quantify it.
So I think that's another great question that we got to kind of evaluate in the market readiness program, is thinking like a scientist. I know that I can explain to another scientist the value of my technology, that I can evaluate the mobility of these freeze-dried materials and tell you what the relaxation times are. But their bosses are going to say, okay, how much do I have to spend it for this technology and what is it going to get me? So then I look at, well, how much are we spending on creating these drug products and how much are each individual drug product worth? And the current testing technologies that we use to evaluate these products, we destructively test about 5% of a batch, and if a batch is 10,000 vials and each vial is $10,000 worth of material, that's a lot of money that you're wasting. So there's a lot of potential value in a technology that allows you to non-destructively test. So that's, I guess, my way of trying to answer that question is, what is the value of the technology that we're trying to promote?
I have maybe a follow-up question here to all the Purdue Innovates people. In a perfect world, if money would be no obstacle, what would you do to promote all this great technology that we're having here, to market it so that everybody knows about it? I think a lot of companies, they deal with 100, 200 public universities that are all bringing out new technology at all times and becoming really either the go-to point or, again, being noticeable. Does that mean we need Super Bowl ads, or what could be done if we had a more substantial budget to market and sell our new technologies? Any suggestions? Matt? You've got your mic now. All right. They're taking over. See, that's what happens if you invite the Innovates people. They take over the whole show. They bring their dogs, their ponies, their students with them. So this is actually great. So I really appreciate how professional they are and the show that they're putting on. So no, really. But go ahead.
I'm a former basketball player, so clearing out with elbows is kind of what I do. But I think in terms of, rather than marketing, what I would do with money would be to do something like a challenge grant, where we would try to partner with institutions, share risk, right, and put challenges out there, put a little seed fund to put a proof of principle, proof of concept together, and try to bridge it that way. I think, I don't want to disparage marketing, but like rather than marketing, I'd rather get partnerships.
That's what I was going to say. So I don't have any better or different answer than, and if Justin has anything, but yeah, I think we want to put more resources towards de-risking our technology. So one thing that we did not necessarily talk about was oftentimes what we get from the university are very early stage technology disclosures. So how can we develop them further? How can they be more attractive for the companies to be licensed? So what oftentimes tech transfer fails to do is bring up the TRL of those technologies, and that cannot be done unless we put money and resources towards doing more research, developing those technologies into products, and that needs to happen. That's where we need to put our money in. And in the ideal world, that's what we would do.
Thumbs up from Justin. Yeah, I'm a soccer player. I do sliding tackles from behind, so I take you out that way. Great. We have a few more minutes to enjoy the rest of the croissants and coffees, and I think, as always, our hosts here in the Gemini room for providing all these delicious things for us. So thank you very much. looks like you've fallen asleep, but again, I want to thank the student. I think the enthusiasm that you've seen here for the projects that you're engaged in is kind of contagious, and expanding this program to give kind of every postdoc, every professor a chance to have their technology moved about, and keeping people in the country and taking care of the visa aspects and all that as well. I think that's an important part of how we need to operate and promote our successful programs here. So I much appreciate that. I wish you good luck with the Startup Expo. I look forward to it as well. And again, Espresso Entrepreneurs is a in-person event to meet those people who are the storytellers, the movers and shakers of our ecosystem here. And I think that's an important part of the services that we provide here, that it's not just some online thing. It's real people you can talk to. I'll give you Abi's cell phone number later. You can call him day or night. No, I'm kidding. But no, I mean, they really make themselves available really at all times, and that's great. I mean, that is that personal, almost like a concierge service that we have here at Purdue that makes us be so high up in the rankings. But of course, we also need to stay ahead of the game. So we're always looking for new ideas, trying to reinvent ourselves and move things ahead. So I thank you for coming. I hope you're going to have a great summer. And one more shout out here for Build Purdue. There's a FinTech hackathon tonight. Elliot, president of Build Purdue.
Karthik, Harsh, do you guys want to talk about it real quick? But he's running it.
Yeah, so today we have a FinTech and AI startup pitch night. There will be a couple of founders in FinTech and AI, as well as Tyler, if you guys remember Tyler. He's here a few weeks back. And it's going to be really fun. There's going to be students pitching their startups for about an hour, and then also the startup executives, they're going to be telling students where they think the next generation of FinTech and AI startups are going to be coming from. If you're at all interested in FinTech and or AI and you want to hear about what these students are working on, this would be an excellent place to come, meet the students, talk to them, give them feedback on their pitches, and then also meet about 30, hopefully 30 plus people who are also interested in the space, if that's something you're interested in. Anything else to add, guys?
How the event is at 6 p.m. today in Rawls. You can register, just go to our website at buildpurdue.org/events, and you'll see all the info for it there if you forget. But we hope to see you all there.
Thank you.
Excellent, yeah. Applause to all of them. At the end of the day, we are a university. We're educating the next generation of researchers, and so having the students carry all those ideas forward, I think, is super important, and come up with their own, and having us support all this, that's exciting. That excites the alumni as well, and you're going to have the alumni the PAN, the Purdue Alumni Entrepreneurship Network group, also be a part of your Startup Expo next week. So that's an important part, to keep everybody connected long after you left Purdue, and of course while you're here. So anyway, thanks all. Mingle a little bit longer, and let's get together again in the fall or during the summer. So alrighty, that's it. Wake back up.